Hey Curtis, just wanted to follow up on this question about how you would do this workflow for a gas condensate reservoir. So I'll just do that on a very synthetic data set right here, where we initialize a well with 10,000 initial GOR. So that's 100 barrel per million type of fluid, and the this is the associated phase envelope for that particular well. This is the composition obviously created, and this is the associated PVT table. And as you can see, at initial conditions, it's 100% gas. It's a condensate with 100 barrels per million in solution, and the following gas expansion factor. And the gas expansion factor is just the inverse of the gas formation volume factor. So just have a synthetic case here. This is from a gas condensate type of an SRV model simulated over time. We provided the bottom hole pressures. This is kind of the quote-unquote real data that we can run right now. So we just provide the inputs, and then we just take it for a spin. So in this case, we know what the PVT properties are, we know what the FCD are, we know what the bottom hole pressure versus time are. So we kind of know all the inputs, but I guess my objective is just to show you how in a fundamental sense we actually do this type of analysis for a gas condensate reservoir. So it's exactly the same. So we pick a formation volume factor, and we pick a LFP, and the equation for calculating the OIP for gas condensate is that we use this BT term. This BT term is just a total formation volume factor. That's something that's automatically calculated in the software right here. So you see this is the total formation volume factor term, 5.93. So that's just a way for us to say we want some kind of number that has the same units as your oil formation volume factor. So it's reservoir barrels per stock tank barrels. Obviously, there is the reservoir barrels is of course a gas phase, but when you bring it to the surface, it's condensate. So there's nothing else than that we use. And in the first set here, of course, we were dealing with perfect data in a way, so we know what the PVT and fluids are. But at least for this case, if we generate the type curves now, what we're doing here is that we're spinning all these 12 reservoir simulation models up simultaneously, and all the calculations are run on a cloud. And once those are done, we pick exactly the same numbers, so the OIP and the LFP number. And just to recap, the OIP is calculated based on this hydrocarbon pore volume divided by BT term, and for a gas condensate, the equation for BT is provided here in the manual. So for a case where you have an unsaturated gas reservoir, which we have in this case, this term simplifies to BG over little rs, but everything else than that is the same. So in this case, we see that okay, we have actually the automatic fit is doing a perfect job actually. So we see actually from the get-go the software is picking this fit for us. So 842 million thousand stock tank barrels, and these are the fits on the other diagnostic plots. But even though this is a gas condensate well, and you can see here that some of the tank sizes are so small that there's some numerical instabilities in the end, which is totally expected when the average reservoir pressure reaches the bottom hole pressure. So here you can also see the different average reservoir pressures for the different cases. So obviously the largest tank size will have the highest average reservoir pressure, and the smaller and smaller it becomes, the smaller or the closest to the PWF it becomes. But in this case, we've done our job, picked an LP and an OIP, and then here we can just put some random numbers in, maybe something like that. We can use these parameters in history matching, then we simply will take this model and we'll run it on this, and we see that we have the exactly the same results in this case, even though we picked an LFP and an OFP, but for a gas condensate well. So that's essentially the workflow in a nutshell for a gas condensate well.